Preston Weekes of Operations X, and I'm pulling up for everyone watching. I'm pulling up an image of that truck van flatbed you sent me, and it's for everyone watching. I have it on the screen right now, and I'll put it in the whatever, I don't know. But back to you, Preston. What is that thing?
Yeah, that thing. I always, they had a little soft spot in my heart.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted one, and they're rare too. And I'm a car guy, and so they're kind of, a lot of times I pull up in that, and they're like, "What do? Take a Volkswagen bus and cut the back off of it?" And I'm like, no, this is actually like how they are.
Oh, really? That's what I thought you did.
Yeah, no. Most people think that. So it's called a single cab. So it's just a 62 single cab truck, and so that's what they are. But, and two, you always said, people don't have energy and things like that because they're sitting in podcasts. So I was like, today I'm going to start standing up.
I was wondering, I was like, is everything all right? As you're standing up, the mystery continues. Are we or are we not wearing pants? And the mystery continues.
I'm still that one's up in the air.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? It's the mystery that will never be settled until court and YouTube sues me for not wearing pants. But until then, it's a mystery. It's a mystery box, right? But yeah, man, maybe I should start doing that. I don't want to do it right now because I'm comfy in my chair. But that wouldn't be a bad idea because I definitely get like cramped because like this microphone, like I need to get one like you have, because what happens is I try to lean close to it so it comes through clear. But because I'm just kind of like jerry-rigging this podcast, the audio from this, I'm also just recording out of the speakers, so I put it close to the speakers. So I end up doing this kind of weird number for like an hour or two. And if you could look at it from the side, it looks like I have advanced stage scoliosis. Like I'm bent over, leaning forward on one side, and every once in a while you'll see I'll try that and go closer, but maybe I should stand up, but I'm not going to right now.
I think it's actually kind of like you're in a dance. You're like, because you're in a dance with the person.
I'm tangoing. You're
interviewing. You're having a conversation with. You're jiving with that energy, and you're going back and forth.
I got it. So, I like
it. I'll give you a new perspective.
I like it, Preston, and we'll segue that into Preston Weekes, author of How to Be Up in Down Times, which will be in the description in the top comment. But you're right, because if you go back to the first 40 episodes, which are all on, you can get it on Kindle, not Audible yet, Preston, but if you go back to the first 40 episodes, they're all on Skype, and they all start with I make contact with the person, and I always just said the same thing. I'm like, let's fucking tango. And that kind of became a thing, and I didn't think about it until someone pointed it out. But now I can't say it anymore because I think about it. But it was like, let's tango. Let's do this thing. There's no script. If we're just, who's wearing pants? I don't know. Yeah. But why isn't it on Audible? Why isn't How to Be Up and Down Times on Audible?
So, it's been neglect on my part, neglect on time. So, you know what? That I'm gonna write that down.
I hope you do, Preston.
Item. Here, I gotta bring my notepad up. See my desk. I got one of those desks.
That's what I need. Yeah. But, you need to write it down because I scold every author I have. I'm sorry, I just cut you off. That was rude.
No, I deserve to be scolded.
No, you don't. That's
legitimate. No, but because we all need to realize, what we need to do. And that's something that definitely I need to do. And I'm not offended by it, that's a challenge too. I think that happens too often with people today is people get offended, by someone's, comment or someone's opinion or something like that. And you go, hey, you need to get out there. You're trying to help me or whatever. But, some people might take offense to that. They might go, oh, whatever. Oh, I don't have it done.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But, no, I love it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So I am actually taking action. I'm writing it down. Woo. So that's step one, to help you to get your goals. Step two, to make them happen is to, tell someone you're going to do it. And so
we're
saying
it on
video. A lot of action.
You're saying it on video. You're saying it on video. You're screwed. Now I'm going to turn the fan on. You said it on video that's what you're doing. And
so now it's out there to the world.
Yeah, and you're going to be a fraud if you don't follow through, Preston. How can...
I don't know. So now, right, I'm just... Yep. another checklist item thing. I've got to go.
Let's segue into that then. Like, let's you said write it down, tell someone you do it. Because for me, mine, because clearly I'm an egotistical asshole and I have to turn this into me. Whenever I have a goal, it's I write it down or I put it in like notes on my phone. And then like of that like mass of like to do I have, I'll always pluck out a couple and be like, doing this one tomorrow. And I make my to-do list for tomorrow. I do it the last thing in the day because my logic is whatever I am convinced I can do when I'm absolutely exhausted at the end of the day, I know I'll be able to do the next day. Versus if you wake up, have a cup of coffee, and you're like, I'm going to call 11 people today, and I'm going to, an hour goes by, the dopamine kick wears off, and you're like, I don't want to do any of this. So I make a list when I'm exhausted. After a podcast and my brain is fried, and I'm uploading it and putting it on external hard drives, and I'm sending emails to people. In that moment is when I'm like, what am I doing tomorrow? Because that is the most realistic me. That's the crankiest, most tired, hungry, sleepy version of me. I'm like, tomorrow I know I am good to send out 2 emails. Like, I know I am good to do that. And then I always do it because the next day I feel better. But what is your process for getting stuff done? Because you're a multitasker, you're an entrepreneur,
Yeah, I am. And I found too that I think there's not one thing that works for everyone, but there's definitely general, principles that work or can work for everyone. Part of that too is just, sitting down and organizing it. I think that's one of the biggest things, is to organize it, to actually do it and write it down, because, we get going and, we get doing things and we get, busy, and then it's so easy, someone like me, like ADHD, to go, okay, squirrel, bunny trail, I'm down, and I'm getting things done, but in the end, sometimes that might affect the deadline or something if I didn't have a way to revector and come back in. And so really it's just simple, simple, but, checklists and priority, like knowing what you're doing and prioritizing what you're doing too. And so, like for me, I like to have somewhat aggressive checklists. So I'll put, always more than I can do, because I'm trying to push my boundaries of, what I can accomplish and what I can get done during the day. But most importantly, kind of like what you're saying, that night before, those things that you can get done, I'll prioritize it. So I'll categorize it. So I'll go, okay, this is, what I have to do today. This is what, I can work on, beyond that. And this is what needs to be done by the end of the week. So I have different reach on what's going on and what needs to happen. Kind of, it mentally prepares you for it.
What's on today? To put you on the spot, what's on today?
So
if you can share that.
Yeah, no, what's on today actually? So it's exciting day today. So we're checklisting everything. So for I think I mentioned last time. So
you've got a book in you.
You have a book in you project I've been working on with Mark Victor Hansen. So we launched that. We launched that really, really quickly. Back when the whole COVID thing, took off, and so now we've actually switched platforms and we've made the product way more robust, which is really, really great. And we've added a lot of depth. We've added a lot of pieces to it to support authors to get to their goals. So we're taking the initial training and then we moved on to a new platform. So it's been a huge, piece of work. And then we built probably about, 45 or so, 50 or so new different assets to help people through the authorship process.
Okay.
So it's, different things like, how to, create your story or how to create your author's bio or speed write and different things. And it goes through all these different, components and different pieces. And we have worksheets and have set that up now and it all deploys. And so that's exciting. So we're test driving that today. So it's like, it's like if you put it in car guy terms, like I always associate life. And, you built your new car, it rolls off of the assembly line. It's like, well, this is version 1 of the new car. Yeah. Actually, this is version 2, I guess.
Yeah.
Is a model update.
Yeah.
Of the first car. And so, we're taking out, driving and making sure it works. Cause it's just, you get so many pieces in a project like this. I mean, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of pieces that all have to sync, together digitally so that it works and so it deploys. And so, we build it as good as you can, and then you have to actually run through it like a customer would, and click through every single thing and read through every single thing. And
I got you.
Check all the links, and so
that's
the day. So hopefully tomorrow is deployment on that, but we'll see.
Speaking of test driving, so last time we talked, you mentioned the autonomous cars, and where Arizona, New Mexico, Texas?
Arizona, okay. Yeah. So I'm in Arizona.
Yeah, yep. You mentioned. I thought you. I don't know, because I'm an idiot. I thought. Are you sitting down now?
There you go.
Yeah, slow it down. Get nice and relaxed. Yeah. There you go. You gotta get. I need I wish I had a really deep voice so I could be like, bring it down.
Quiet time.
Yeah, quiet time. It's TPC. Tommy's podcast after hours for all you gents and gals out there. Grab a whiskey and smoke your smoke. Because we are bringing it down from. And then you got to go into like the air horn, like the like the like welcome to 95.5 The Beat. But
I gotta tell you a funny story with the air horn, and a whole crazy side story that happened to us last night. Side distract, but the first time I took my son loves sports, and he's pretty good at basketball. He's 8.
Yeah.
But for an 8-year-old, and but. And take him down to the Suns game here. We go watch a game. So ever since that first day he went to a Suns game, I have a perma air horn that goes off in his mouth about 5 times, a day. Every time something happens, he's always like, it's just like
DJ Khaled.
And so that noise has been incorporated into our daily life very much.
I'm sure that's soothing. It's it's like, break it down. It's completely from like. Oh yeah. So we were talking. What were the hell? Arizona test drive. Yeah, because I'm an idiot and you're a car guy and I'm not, and I thought for some reason I knew, but you said Nikola last time, and I was like, for sure he means Tesla. There's actually a car or truck and for everyone listening, I don't know if Preston does, but I don't have any ties to this company, so this isn't me promoting it. But there is a company called.
I don't either.
Okay, all right. Well, fair enough. Then we are actually just talking.
It's just open conversation.
Yeah. It's
cool stuff.
Stop accusing me. I'm not advertising. It's like that's a weird thing. No one accused me, and here I am getting defensive. I'm like, I'm not being paid by them.
My company right here, Operations X. That's me promoting.
And this is my company. This ugly mug, which butchered myself shaving again.
Oh yeah.
For like the 4th time in the last week because apparently I have the motor skills of a 3-year-old. But Nikola is a actual truck company or car company, and it's autonomous trucks.
Yep. So it's based off of. I spent some time in the renewable energy industry, so I understand a little bit about hydrogen. I actually spent 6 months doing a feasibility study on a large scale hydrogen manufacturing facility that was going to be based in an area in California, and met with the area about it, and all the mayors and everything. So I know a thing or two about hydrogen, which is really interesting. But they're trying to make a play where they're doing a hydrogen fuel cell and battery coupled together. So that it basically is like a clean hybrid, as opposed to like a diesel would be that they use now for trucking. So diesel has a lot of emissions output, and diesel trucks are just running all the time, and that's a major backbone to the United States for our shipping industry, especially right now. 2-day delivery. I mean, it's just a huge important thing for everyone in our daily lives right now. So the trucking industry has a big carbon footprint, with that. And so, they're kind of the first ones to really go at it and try and pioneer. I mean, there's actually, I know a couple other companies that have done this that didn't make it, but they're the first ones to get traction. And so, that's really exciting. So they've done a really creative public offering, basically, where they, partnered up with, another public fund, essentially, which is kind of the new trend in IPOs now. But they're doing really cool stuff. They're hiring a ton of people. They're really aggressive. And so, their biggest challenge is going to be infrastructure, getting that infrastructure to support it. But I've looked at, different scenarios and with hydrogen infrastructure. And so you can localize hydrogen plants, but really it all comes down to the cost of energy. And I can get nerdy on that, but then we'll lose everyone's interest here. But
I don't care.
Nicole is doing some cool stuff though, for sure. So they're they're taking the Class 8 is a commercial, tow vehicle, and they're turning that industry and flipping it over. And then they're working on things like garbage trucks too and stuff like that now. So I think there's a big market for that.
And I don't care who we lose. Can we go back to the energy? What was it that you were saying, that you said you're scared of losing everyone? Because I don't care. This is interesting. This is interesting to me. If you don't like it, just stop listening.
Okay, so the issue with renewable hydrogen production that I've seen, as far as getting the cost side down in my analysis, is the challenges with energy costs. So the current way that you do clean green hydrogen. So there's also hydrogen that's also made with methane, and it's like kind of okay, but it's not the most perfect thing. It's not perfectly renewable, but you can actually just take water, and it runs through a cell, and it basically shoots electricity through there, and it changes that water and splits the molecules in the water, so you get oxygen and you get hydrogen. It's literally that. So oxygen comes out, and it just makes nice oxygen in the atmosphere. You could capture it if there was value to it. It's really hard to tie the value to it, from a plant or anything. But the tough part is the energy input to get the water to convert. You have to put so much energy on it. So when we were looking at it, we were trying to get like 2.5 cent energy, which is achievable, but you basically have to have a direct connection to your massive energy source. And transmission, the way transmission works in society today, screws that up. Because once you take your energy off a property, someone wants to charge you for it. It's like, okay, well, we built the highway to do it, the wire, and so they're going to charge you a couple cents, to transfer that energy across that. And so then on the hydrogen deals that we were looking at, that killed the deal for it. So it's solvable though. It's a solvable problem.
Do you think that's in the future? Because I don't know anything about cars, and I also don't know anything about renewable energy. I mean, I know the buzzwords to sound like I have somewhat of, a couple points above a room temperature IQ. You got to have the renewable energies. I mean, you got to have the hydrogen and the lithium and the ions. I mean, the coal power plant, the carbon emissions, and the first time in 650,000 years. But I'm really not saying anything. I'm just parroting shit like so many people do today. What is? Yeah. It was so, because I do know this. I do know that regardless of and I don't care. I think that's just how the world works. But they are kind of conflict metals, right? The rare earth metals. I mean, 90% of the world's trade comes from China, which only has 30% of the world's reserves, but it's just they've manipulated to have 90% of the trade. I guess hats off to them. But then there's also things like cobalt from strip mines in Africa. But that's all. Not trying to get into some social justice warrior. That's wrong.
No. Yeah. Exactly what you're saying. That's the biggest problem with batteries today.
They're toxic as fuck.
Precious metal. I'm going to really generalize here.
Rare earth metals.
But basically the rare metals that are used in batteries today come from hostile nations.
Yeah.
And there is very much a lot of truth to that.
The earth has a funny way of doing that.
Scary things happening too with China. And this is a real concern for me, and should be for everyone. But China is buying up, the whole entire globe's natural resources.
Have you ever read Stealth War by Brigadier General Robert Spalding?
No, I haven't.
He was on this podcast, episode 161. He was a B-2 Spirit bomber, and he was on Obama's National Security Council. But he writes a book about that, and they go into the Belt and Road Initiative. I think if you're concerned about it, you would thoroughly enjoy it, because that book scared book scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, because this is just like my own thinking of things, but yeah, I mean, definitely, it's
I'll text it to you, don't worry. I'll send it to you. I'll remind you.
That there's that kind of stuff happening all over the world, and so it's you gotta keep your head up, and it's just a tricky world, we live in today.
The Earth has kind of a funny, dark sense of humor by putting what we need in the West under the feet of tyrannical societies in the, I guess I wouldn't say east of, because apparently America's the center of the world, but I mean fossil fuels and like in the Gulf, right? And then you got rare earth metals, and you got cobalt and shit in Africa. You got all that stuff in China, and it's like they have a funny way of taking everything we need. And it's like, hey, we need all these poppy seeds, opium, heroin trade, CIA.
All the medical, manufacturing.
Hey, it's, why are we in Vietnam? We got to beat the communists. But there's also a thriving heroin trade. But, it's a kind of funny way of doing that. But so if we can just, in the way that we do on a daily basis, if we can just kind of ignore all those human rights issues, what are the... Let's go back to the actual just battery. Let's not even go into the physical aspects of the battery. Let's just go as the battery itself. Let's just say there's a battery. Forget how it got here. We have a battery. Mm-hmm. That is still charged off of a grid, burning coal and gasoline.
Right.
So is it? Yeah. Is it? And I own Tesla stock. Full disclosure. But is there is it better?
Yeah. Well, it's a complicated thing. Right now, we can't just switch. There's a huge infrastructure issue, and that will overcome with time and with progression of technology and things like that. I think that there is good hope and future for making a battery that's not reliant on those countries too. Mm-hmm. So I think there's different technologies out there, and I don't know what's going to win with the battery technologies and where that's going to go. I'm not going to jump into that, but I think that it can go there. But looking at it like into the future and adopting all these transitions of different types of fuels and things. I mean, it's viable. Like, for example, jump back to hydrogen. Like, if you look at hydrogen, you can float hydrogen in natural gas infrastructure. Mm-hmm. It can be a trade out. And it actually, they're doing this in Germany, where they'll send hydrogen in the same line as the natural gas line because it's on top of it. It sits on top of it. So they can separate it, on the meter coming out.
Oh, wait. So put them in the same pipe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they can run them in the same pipe.
That's badass.
Because hydrogen's lighter.
Yeah, that's badass.
Yeah, and then I think too, really the long-term answer to what you're saying with the problem is you make the energy with dirty fuels and things like that, and it is that kind of chicken egg kind of issue. Where does it come from? I think we'll transition, but what I would love to see is the cost massively drive down on self-generated power and storage. And I think building integrated power generation is the answer to that. Mm-hmm. So as technology advances and we look at these different things, so we've got solar right now. That's the common thing that's adopted. You throw it on your roof, whatever. So there's different technologies that are coming out, like thin films, that they say, okay, let's put it on the glass, now generate power. I think, but it doesn't perform really well. So, and the cost is too high. It's just not, it doesn't hit the adoption nexus. I'll probably piss off a couple people, but that's the reality of it. But it will. And I think it's there. If it's there, they need to, teach people that in their marketing. But, solar is for sure. Solar, you can make it work. It pencils out. It's really great with the credits, but you don't even need the credits, because anytime you can take something that's bankable, that's the issue. But it's warranted, and it's insurable, and it's performance guaranteed. So that that makes it bankable. So, the bankability of all those things kind of needs to be adopted, and that's a whole complicated formula with company performance and things like that, and how that mixes together.
Dude,
but
go into it. You keep cutting yourself off. You're like, I don't want to get it. Go. I'm interested. I'm listening. I'm listening.
So you create bankability.
Is bankability like? Sorry to interrupt you. I had to ask. Is bankability like a monetary bank, or are you talking like capacity, like battery
financing?
I thought you meant like battery capacity.
If I wanted to go get window film on my house, I can't get financing for that easily.
Okay.
I go get a signature loan. I could put it on a credit card. The seller might offer some sort of financing, or there's going to be a million subprime type of lenders would jump on that. But you can't go like on a big project. So solar so I've dealt a lot in solar, for example. In solar, there's a lot more coming out, but it's still it's not massively there, for the financing side of things. So like you can go to the bank, you can get a car loan, and it's really easy. It's done in a couple hours. They know how to value it, and it's done. You can do a home loan, and it's a little more complicated, but they can value it and put it together pretty quickly, once they get it on the table and get it into underwriting. But you put a solar project on there, and it gets dicey and gets confusing. So how do you connect that? So looking at bankability, you go, okay, what's a risk? Like as a financer, you go, what's a risk? That's what creates investment opportunity. It's a risk analysis versus return. And so what's the risk? Well, if the product comes from a company, and here's where I say, bankability is, if a product comes from a company that's proven, so they've been around for a long time, they have a track record, they have a good financial statement, maybe a good credit rating, and then their product is guaranteed, and it's performance guaranteed. So like these things now, they're all 25-year, 30-year, they're getting really robust warranties on these. And then they have degradation curve on it. So they go, okay, well, say this panel is going to produce whatever amount of watts it produces, for 25 years, and it's going to degrade 2% every year, we'll say, or whatever. They don't even do that. It's more like, I think, 0.08% or something. But so they actually warranty that. So if that panel in year 18 isn't producing, there's a curve, you can watch it. So it's all calculated. It's like there's going to be 300 and 50 sunny days. In Yuma, Arizona happens to be the sunniest city in the world.
Really?
Yeah. So the most sunny days are in Yuma, Arizona, for a city.
You're an agent for Big Solar, aren't you? You're an agent. You're an agent for Big Solar. You sneaky bastard! You're on here slinging your solar products. I'm offended. I will burn fossil fuels to the day I die. Long live Saudi Arabia. But you got to have them in sunny places, right? Yeah.
So so it's all you can figure it out. That's what I'm saying. It's all math.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to figure out. And so on a market, you go, okay, on a bankable, getting back to being bankable, you go, okay, the company's going to be in business in 30 years.
Yeah.
Probably.
God willing, yeah.
Or say they'll probably be in business half of their warranty. You look at risk. And there's a formula, and you go, okay, I can finance that. I'll give you 5% financing for it, or whatever. And run that over a 10-year loan or a 20-year loan or a 30-year loan, because that's the life cycle. And look at it more like home mortgages, and get these creative financing available for everyone. Yeah. And also then being able to monetize it on resale too, because someone puts a big you put a solar system on a house. And one of the biggest problems is a lot of times it can be a good portion of the house, almost as much as the house sometimes, or half the house, or a section of it. So you want to capture that on the resale. If you say average person, I'm just throwing a dart, sells their home every 5 years, if you put $50,000 of solar on your roof, in 5 years, that $50,000 of solar might be worth $40,000 and you want to, get the money back out of it. Yeah. So there's nothing for that,
Yeah.
happen to. But
have you?
So it's messy. You know, those are the issues of it right now with adoption, but they're all solvable.
Do you think there will be? Do you think there will be space-based solar? Have you ever seen those plans to draw? It's like everything in the 70s. They were so optimistic with the future of space. But one of the ideas was like you'd build these things like 100 by 100 kilometers, and it would be up there and it would be charging, and then it would beam it back down in microwaves. And then the other idea was, and I shit you not, this was in the book Nuking the Moon and Other Ideas Left on the Drawing Board by Dr. Vince Houghton, who's the curator of the National Spy Museum, and who will be on here on Thursday, everybody listening. I'll send you that book if you're interested. That book is insane. Yeah. But one of the ideas was right after World War II, they were like, or, they're like, to sidestep that whole, because, microwave, that was still like, that's the future. Back then, they were like, what if we just made a big old mirror, and then we could just beam it onto one spot on the Earth, and we could have solar panels there. Or you could, whatever you would use with heat, or back then it wouldn't even be solar panels, it would be like, we could just have like, 1,000 Olympic swimming pools of water, boil it, turn it into steam, and we could run a whole nation off this one big mirror. And then, of course, the Nazi scientist we brought back through Operation Paperclip under Curtis LeMay, who was the Secretary of the Air Force, but he oversaw all of it. They were like, this is a great idea. And like, what they wanted to do, though, is, I shit you not, they were like, or we could make it and we could point it at cities of people we don't like. And they were like, no. They're like, pump the brakes, you Nazi fucks. Like, we're not going to. And like, I think the exact wording is, this could provide great energy or great evil. And it's like, these guys like come out of like a comic book of Nazis. They're like, just saying we could do evil. And they're like, no. They're like, stop. The war's over. You're in America now. And, whatever. But there are ideas like, I know there are also, the point is like, do you think there's any viability to like these massive centralized projects, whether it's the death ray, whether it's the big solar panels in space? I know another idea they had was like, you'd put all these like mirrors out in the desert, like thousands of them, and they'd all be tilted. They'd all kind of like a telescope. They'd be directing the light at one spot, and it's like there was like a conical, like concrete tower, like 1,500 feet tall, and at the top was, I think it was like a piece of metal or something with like a super high melting point, something like Inconel, and they would beam it at that and turn that thing, just thousands of degrees, and then they would use that to run like a steam generator. But the idea was like, you could put one of these in, whatever, Arizona, you could run like California, Oregon, and like Washington just off one of these. Do you think those centralized things have any viability, or is that too grandiose, like Nazi-ish?
So I've got an opinion on that. Well, first of all, there are some things actually out there that are kind of like the contraption you're talking about. They're just not quite as large, but there are different things that kind of resemble that idea. My honest opinion, and this is coming from someone that's worked on utility scale projects and still dabbles in that area, is I don't like the big projects. I don't like the big grandiose ideas, and I'm for many ideas. So because I think the diversity of ideas and diversity of solutions not only creates competition, so the best ideas rise to the top, but it also creates robust, more stable solutions, I think, too. And so let's say if you have one thing, that's generating your power, you have more of a vulnerability, just by its nature. Yeah. And so I like kind of almost a blockchain idea of energy, where you take, and I would love to actually see some, when I'm not smart enough to put it together, but I can kind of think about how to architect it. But, where energy transmission is basically followed in somewhat of a blockchain. And so then it actually becomes a commodity where people are rewarded for the generation that they make. So like if you put solar on your house and you have, overproduction of energy,
put it into the system,
that contributes into the system, but it's tracked, it's trackable with, some sort of a, blockchain system type of thing. And
what is,
so there's a lot of interesting ways. Yeah. But
what is blockchain?
Huh? Oh,
I've heard that term before. I don't know what that term means.
So it's like Bitcoin.
I don't know how that works.
Okay, so Bitcoin would be like the intro word into blockchain. Bitcoin is like, has a lot of feelings and emotions with it because people know something about it or they don't. But the theory of blockchain is essentially a decentralized infrastructure of information. So let's say, for example, I said this, I'm holding up a thing you can't see right now if you don't have video. Yeah. There's a pen in my hand.
Okay.
It's a blue pen. Okay. So I say this is a blue Papermate pen that's clickable. And so I say those characteristics and then I put that into the blockchain, and this is a dummy version of it. Okay. But say that gets verified and it gets sent to, say, 20 other people's computers. And those 19 out of those 20 people say, yeah, that's a blue pen, that's a blue Papermate pen that's clickable. And that all comes back, all that information comes back exactly the same. Then that blockchain agrees and says, okay, that's what it is.
Okay. Okay.
And that's that information stored on all 20 of their locations and your location. And so it creates like this security of infrastructure. So it's decentralized. And then that's where it gets kind of, nerdy and complex and hard to follow and understand.
I don't care. I'm learning. Go for it.
But it makes something, so that's a transaction. That's a transaction that you can call it like a transaction.
Yeah.
That happens. So they decided that this was a pen. So that's blockchain number 1. Okay.
Okay.
Then there's blockchain number 2. That can be whatever that is. So it can be something else completely different. So that's the concept of it. So that's where you can use blockchain. So let's say it's money. Let's say it's Bitcoin. So just to transition it into something, to connect it. So instead of a pen. Let's say that's Bitcoin. So instead of saying it's a blue pen, now I have these 20 people saying, okay, yeah, he has 1,627 Bitcoin.
Okay.
And 20 different people verified that. And the verification of that's really, really complicated to verify in a sense.
Okay.
And so the odds of that being wrong are none.
Infinitesimal.
Everyone agrees that that's, that much Bitcoin. And so then that's a transaction. So, and I send it to someone or whatever, so that's kind of how it happens. So these transactions happen, but they stay there forever, so it's like, that's why they call it blockchain. So you can go back anytime and it's a public record that's on, it's on the blockchain and it's on those 20 people's computers and it's on your computer and it's on everyone that has access to the blockchain, who verified it and what happened and what it is.
Yeah.
So that's what creates the security in blockchain.
Okay.
And like the dumbed down quick.
Well, that's what I needed, was a dumbed
version
down
of how I can explain it. I'm sure maybe someone else can explain it smarter. I'm not a blockchain pro.
That was brilliant. That was brilliant for me. Thank you, Professor Preston. I appreciate it. And I'm being sincere. I'm not being sarcastic. That's what I need, as I need people to break things down into blocks. So I'm like, okay, I got it.
Well, yeah, it's a really confusing thing. And actually, a lot of people that participate in it don't even understand it. So that's where blockchain can be cool, and blockchain, like looking at the future, blockchain can replace industry. So like, let's say, see, here's my notes on your Tommy's podcast. Woo! And I'm an obsessive note taker. By the way, so side note, this is what I recommend everyone do. I take my notes. Oh, I didn't write on here. But usually on the front, I write the start date and the end date. And then I just obsessively take notes of who I talk to, and I write the day down. Yeah, you got it, brother.
Podcast notes.
But the start and the end date on the cover.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I've got April 3rd, 2020. The Future of Fusion Energy, ITR, the ITR.org. Yeah. Just notes that don't make sense to anyone else. Operation Paperclip. Brigadier or General Smedley Butler, Jordan Belfort, rare earth. Apparently, I was talking about rare earth metals on April 7th, 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. And then I'll actually go back. I'll be like, oh, I met with, this super influential person and we talked about this. And I'll go back and dig through. I have piles of
I believe you.
This
isn't the only one I have.
So, and then I file them in shelves.
Yeah, I take pictures. Eventually, when I finish, I'll take a picture of like the whole notebook, or I'll just take a video. I'll turn on slow-mo on my camera, and then I'll just flip through it really fast, and then I'll just throw that on an external. And I'm like, if I ever like need it, I'll whip it up, and I'll just be able to pull through, find it, slow it down, and see that. And again, the notes don't really mean anything because it's like yesterday there was a note like I took during the podcast, and within 30 minutes I didn't know what it meant, but it was Nazi plate tectonics. And we eventually reverse engineered it, but like it's with sorry to get off topic that's all right. I guess there is no topic. That's what I always say in this podcast. Why am I apologizing now? With Bitcoin, I don't know if you know this because this is something that like, okay, I understood blockchain. Okay, I got that. Relatively, I got that. I could take like an elementary test on that now. But one thing that I do believe will forever be out of my grasp of intellectual capacity is, what is Bitcoin mining? Like what? That to me, that's black magic.
Okay.
That's
so actually,
alchemy.
So I've got a couple friends that run mining operations. So I'm a little bit familiar with it, and it's really cool. It's really there's these big warehouses with machines and air moving, and there's
what? So it's like a physical place.
So much. Oh yeah. So these are mining operations. So this is what I'm talking about. So those 20. So let's say those 20 computers.
Can you get someone on my podcast?
That verified my pen. No, because these guys are
okay. All right. Sorry.
Secret.
Okay. Sorry.
They don't want anyone to know.
Got it.
The operations there because they're worried someone's gonna rob them. They got like millions and millions of dollars in equipment.
Gotcha.
And really the equipment.
Gotcha.
But all the processors and things, and it's nuts. But they're big energy hogs. They're these big energy hogs that consume. But okay, so what they do is they have like a mining operation. They might have thousands or whatever. Let's say a round number. Let's say 1,000. They have 1,000 really really high speed computers,
graphic
essentially.
Cards.
And those computers are running a program that does the algorithm. So each one of these coins, they're based off an algorithm, and that's what verifies that this is a blue pen. So that to tell me this is a blue pen, you have to have that algorithm code, and then you've got to, when these come out, transactions come out. So it's kind of like, hey, here's a transaction. If you're a miner, you take that transaction. You're always trying to get transactions to verify. So you're constantly searching and verifying, transactions. And so you're doing the math. So your machine is doing the math, and you're going, is this, here's this math equation, here's this math equation, here's this math equation. Okay, here's the answer to the math equation. Send it back. That's it. If you're part of solving that the token or whatever, that transaction, that that situation on the blockchain, then you get paid a little bit of the transaction.
Okay.
So, and you get paid by the token. So it's like Bitcoin. So like if you process Bitcoin, you get paid with Bitcoin. Okay. So it's not their money. They just make new money. And so there's this, so you get paid like a little bit and they get some, but then they have a plan. That's what's interesting. That's where the law of like scarcity comes into play. And that's where the investment and the hype and the things go, is they go, okay, we're on token number, whatever, only so many of them are going to play out, that you can like buy. And then there's this limited amount. And, so they do all these different types of things to, create more value or more scarcity. And then, it depends on, there's different algorithms that, control how they go up or down and things like that. And so, and then that's what builds the people that nerd out and read that stuff, go, yeah, I like this one, or yeah, I like this one. And then all the rest of it's just herd following. Like, I don't know what the hell's happening, but I'm going to follow this because my buddy did. So
that's, I don't understand any of that. That's, that if someone made that pitch to me, I'd be like, get off my doorstep. But no, and that's not, that's not I'm not throwing.
Well, it is. It's really a strange, way to look at things, but
it clearly works.
Really cool.
It clearly works. People have been minted billionaires off of it.
Well, yeah, and if you look at it transactionally, you go, okay, like a transaction, like an email. Like I'm going to send you an email that's got a document in it or something. If you can, that's got a lot more vulnerability because there's just one transaction. There's me sending you an email. Lots of people can hack into it. They could change it. They could fake it. Or they could do different things. But if you have those 20 people or whatever it is, that are verifying that say, yep, I saw that. That's an email from Preston. Yep, I saw that. That's an email from Preston. Yep, I saw that. That's an email from Preston. Then you get it and you go, oh yeah, this is definitely an email.
Email from Preston, yeah.
And it's like one thing I was thinking about, because I think about, my time in the morning, I think about things that go down crazy, bunny trail thoughts and stuff. And I was thinking, it's interesting. I feel like it's kind of the death of the autograph.
Of the autograph?
Yeah, the autograph. People don't really get autographs. They kind of do, but it's like they don't really care. But what replaced it? And so it went from signatures to selfies. So everyone wants.
Okay, yeah, that's.
They want to get the guy. I'm with.
I got the selfie. Yeah, I'm here. I am with fucking Shaq. Right.
Yeah. And so
that's brilliant.
It's interesting too because I think we've gone from signature to selfie, but you look at that like as society and you go, why? Well, it's the evolution of society. It's like this trust thing. It's like trust. It's like, okay, well, a signature, now, there's this big thing, I know signatures were really cool when I was a kid and, you go get a signature, but like the biggest thing was like getting it authenticated or whatever. You get the thing and it says real signature, but then like even those started being faked, and then it's like people buy authentications. I can't talk. But then you gotta basically you gotta have the document with a picture of the guy signing it.
And it's just a bunch of
he's holding out his driver's license. To verify that your signature is actually real. And so, but it's this interesting thing in society where people go, okay, there's so much fraud out there and so much distrust in the world, and so you go, okay, this is me in the picture with someone, and so that's what's been cool, and that's what's been adopted, but kind of it shows trends too in society when you analyze things like that, and but that's kind of blockchain. That's where blockchain steps into, because it authenticates a lot of different processes. And I think down the road, blockchain will replace title companies are at risk, maybe a lot of government DMV type processes. You look at all these different industries that can be swapped out with it. It's and I don't know if it's ever going to be currency or whatever. I don't look at it so much as a currency, even though I've done a lot of trading for fun. But I look at it more as like a technology future, as like a road for really creating secure transactions.
I'm still stuck on that, from signatures to selfies, because it's true. And then in time, selfies are going to be replaced, because I Photoshop. I can already make a convincible fake. I can do it, and I can do it on an iPhone 8.
I could put us together in a picture.
I could absolutely do it. I could do you and me and Jimi Hendrix at the polls a week ago, and I could make it look. More time, give me 24 hours, I could make it look convincing. To someone who didn't know Jimi Hendrix they would look at it and go, yeah, it's just those two guys and this dude with a killer guitar and a headband. So it's going to bump up from there. To then it would have to almost be live photos, right?
Yeah, then it's going to be video. They'd be like, hey, I'm here.
I'm here. But now there's deep fakes, and deep fakes. So eventually you're going to have to go. It's crazy because everything that the president does is cataloged in their future presidential library, as well as the Library of Congress. So right now, it's if you go just write anything a tweet to Donald Trump, it will be, even if in years when Twitter is no more and Twitter is as much as a bygone as Blockbuster or N64, it will still be cataloged in a digital library for the president. And it sounds like, well, that's so much effort. Well, they do it, and it's a lot of effort, but it's for the president. And of course it's not profitable, but they do make this digital library catalog. I mean, they catalog everything. So I was watching a documentary last night. They have all of Reagan's note cards where he used to write his one-liners on. Like, they still have those in like boxes. And so like they save everything. You can't do it for everyone, but you can certainly do it for the president. Right. If you go tweet to Donald Trump, you are cataloged forever. And like, I remember when I first started doing like Photoshops, and I would put them online, and I would like sell t-shirts and stuff. I remember seeing one of my designs. I was making like knockoffs of all the, like the Run DMC, but I would just make them up. I made like Reno 911. I made like a Joe Rogan run, like Run JRE, like the A10 Warthog. I just made it BRRRRT, like Bert, if you know anything about the Air Force. But like, I made all those, and I remember seeing one of my shirts being sold on Amazon, and I was like, motherfucker, someone's stealing my shit. And so like, I sent the guy an email. I was like, hey kid, I love to buy. So I bought one, and he was like, cool. And then once I got it and I had where it was from, and I told him, I was like, all right, now you're gonna refund me, and now you're gonna take it off your thing because this is mine. And luckily the guy capitulated, and he did it. If he had tried to call my bluff, even though it was my work, I'd have no way to back it up. So what I started doing, like a true crazy person, was whenever I'd make like a really intricate design piece that I'd put like 100 hours of time into over like 2 weeks, I would just tweet it to Trump, knowing that like the first time this image ever appeared on the internet,
documented.
It is documented right there. So if they find it in the future, they'll always be able to find the first one down to the millisecond, tweeted at Trump by me. And so that's what I used to do. Is I was just like, I piggybacked onto like that presidential cataloging. But on that note, there's going to be a sort of signatures to selfies to live photos to videos. Then it's going to be like tweets, right? It's going to have to be like a picture of you and them, and they're going to tweet at you. And then that will have to be verified like through encryption.
It's going to have to come from their platform.
Yeah, like that will be your thing, is you were retweeted by the president or the governor or whatever, and it will be verified by like the Library of Congress. Like it'll be, and that will be your thing on your wall instead of in like your man cave. Instead of having Michael Jordan going like that and you have it autographed, instead you're gonna have like a tweet from like at real Michael Jordan or some shit. I don't know where I'm going with this, but like, it's a weird thing. Authenticity, it's what is real and what isn't. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, and I don't know why I'm handing it off to you as if you have any response to that.
I'll run with it. I'll run with it. What is real and what is not? I actually spend a lot of time in that thinking space. I think it's actually a really, really, really important thinking space. To go, okay, what is real and what is not? And it's actually, a big part of, some of my training and some of my, coaching that I do. So, part of that too is, say, let's take the world right now, for example, like people, have all these feelings or, different things and different emotions about what's happening, and
everything's hate speech, everything's offensive.
Right. But really, you really have to get that granular and go, what is actually happening, what's happening right now. We kind of like talked about, I think before, when we talked about my idea of the life emotion, everything around you is
and everything else is moving.
So just to recap for those who didn't hear it last time, it's basically that the world's moving around you, and I'm sitting here doing my own thing, but life's moving. Like everyone around me is doing something. All my people outside of this room that I'm sitting in are out doing something. The world's spinning, and people are driving, and things are happening, and life is in motion. And so by that theory, that means that I'm in motion. So I'm either moving forward or backward. And what can I do, with that? And so separating out, what's real and what's, not real is huge, because, you look at all these things like fears, like whatever fear, you're living, people are living in a space of fear. And you sit there and you go, okay, let's just pretend I'll just be the fear victim here, and I'll put it on me. I'll say, okay, I'm afraid of, the presidential election. I'm afraid of, what's going to happen.
Sure.
I'm afraid of the economy. I'm afraid of coronavirus. I'm afraid of shutdowns. I'm afraid of people not coming to my business. I'm afraid of these things. But, what in the end, none of that is actually real.
Mm-hmm.
And none of that serves you to live in that space. And so if you rewind and you look at it and you go, okay, I'm sitting in my space right now. I'm sitting in my office, and just get really literal. Okay, I'm sitting in my chair, sitting in my office, and having a great chat with Tommy, the man.
And you're right here.
Life is good. I'm enjoying it. Nothing. I ate breakfast this morning, and I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm safe.
Yeah.
Right now I'm not sick.
Yep.
And I'm really capable of doing whatever it is I want to do right now.
Yep.
And we really, really, really need to step out of our place and be super conscious and realize those things, because it's so important.
I'm making a note, but it's like what Duncan Trussell, the comedian, said. He had two great sayings, and by the way, I know I said it'd only keep you for an hour. I can keep talking if you want. I don't want to keep you. We got like 5 more minutes. I can keep talking.
I'm okay for 20 more minutes.
Okay. But it's like the comedian Duncan Trussell says, he's like, right now there is a poor phoneless fool sitting under a waterfall watching a sunset, who has no idea how scared and angry he should be. And then another one is like, until zombies are eating your leg in front of you, he's like, all fear is in your mind. But I do that when I meditate. Because right now it's the election, coronavirus. I got to go meet someone today after this, and then I got to guest tomorrow, and I've got like 15 guests over the next 15 days that I've got to read 13 books, and am I going to get it done? And I got Thanksgiving coming up, and I'm trying to diet more, and what am I doing? I got to move out of my parents' house, and when's this, when's that, and what's going. But then as you start to just kind of follow your breath, and you look around, when I'm meditating on my bed, I'll be like, what is objectively, what is here? And you look outside, and like a 9-year-old girl on a tricycle, the fan's going, and the sheet on my pillow is just, you look around, and you can kind of hear like your stomach gurgle, and like, what's in the closet? There's some clothes. And here I am, the fan's going, bottle of clean water next to me. I'm showered, shaved, not well, like an idiot, but it's like, what is actually, but it's like, what is actually here? The election and coronavirus and blah, 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 and you're like, what if, I always think is like, if I could just, right now, if you just turned off, like, if you just nuked all of my devices and you just muted life, what is actually going on? If I can't look at it and have Twitter tell me what's going on, if I'm just sitting here, what is objectively happening? There's a light beeping on my router. I'm talking to you. There are my glasses. My back doesn't hurt. I don't have a sore throat.
Yeah, what's pretty good.
What's really going on right now?
Yeah, right.
Computers humming along in the. Is there any problems? And what is different right now? Right now, then, let's say while you and I are talking, let's say Biden and Trump both died in an assassination attempt, and right now there's riots in New York. Or not. Right now, there is no difference. So, and I'm not saying ignore the world, but it's just bring it down. Preston, monologue for 30 seconds. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no. Taking it from that space, you have the craziness and you have the chaos, that's happening, that's going, on in the world, and what was mentioned was that balance. Like, okay, well, do I forget about it? Do I neglect it? Do I not become a part of it? Or, how much do I let in my life? And that's what's so beautiful about deeply, deeply recognizing what happens in your current space that you're in. Because if you can gain control of that, you realize that you can gain control of anything you want. And then clearing that space, you go, okay, What do I want what do I want my life to look like? What do I want my outcomes to be? Where do I want things to go, for me in the future? And what do I want to participate in? Because that gives us the power and the choice to do that. The most important thing is, separating all those things so we can actively choose what we want to do. And then, we can jump back into, that, chaos that's happening. If you want chaos in your life, you can jump into chaos. If you don't want chaos, if you want peace, you can jump into peace.
Yeah.
If you want to be, proactive about something, you go, okay, I don't have to take on the feelings of what's happening around me, but I can express how I feel about it to people. And what they say doesn't affect me because I'm in my own space and they can't control me. They can't control my thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I love, I think it's Ram Dass, Richard Alpert, the professor from Harvard, who got fired for the Harvard LSD experiments. He was friends with Timothy Leary, tune in, turn on, drop out. That guy. And he was, and then he took some psilocybin, and then he went to India and met with gurus, and then he was some guru for he actually died last year. He's in his 90s. But he was one of my favorite. He changed his name to Ram Dass. And he's just big beard, just flowing guy. I think he might be my favorite human that's ever lived. But I'll send you some quotes from him. I have an app from him that I look at every day. I'll read the ones just from yesterday, I think. I encourage you. So November 8th, 2020, and obviously he's dead now, but there's an app, and it's a free app called Ram Dass, and it's just, I'll send it to you. It's just, and for everyone listening, I'll put it in the description. It's just sayings of his every day. I encourage you to make peace with death, to see it as the culminating adventure of this adventure called life. It is not an error. It is not a failure. It is taking off a tight shoe which you have worn well. And it's that's a way to look at death. Is no, you did well. You fought. Coach put you in, and you played until you sprained your ankle. You got a triple double, right? You did well, but now we're taking you out, and it's not the end of the world. You played well. And then another one. Look at all the great saints. They're as neurotic as anybody else. It's kind of irrelevant. So you don't have to change your neuroses. You just stop identifying with them. You just make friends with them, and they come by for tea, and you observe them. You don't identify with them. So you have your OCD come in, and you just, oh, hey, what's going on? And you just kind of look at it as a yapping dog. It's just it's here. Entertain it while it's here. Your depression, your self-hatred. I haven't lost enough weight. My podcast isn't big enough. Don't reject it, but don't entertain it. Just be here's my demon. Your demon's coming in. You're what's up, man? I know you're going to try to tear me down, but what's going on in the underworld, right? You just talk with your demons, and say this to anyone else, they're going to look at you like you're insane, but
yeah. No, and really that's what is that next step down is realizing that you are the one that's deciding whether it's good or bad.
There's no objective good or bad. It's you're telling yourself.
So if it's wrong, you made it wrong.
Yep. It's
that's simple.
You labeled it. There's no upper.
A lot of people agree with you, or there's different things like that, or whatever. But literally, when you get down to the minute little hairy details of it, you make the positives and the negatives. Mind.
Yeah. There's another one by Alan Watts. It's a little story. He's there once was a Chinese farmer whose crops failed. And his neighbors came by and said, oh my God, that's, this is so sad, your crops failed. That's a bad thing. And he said, maybe. And so realizing that he couldn't make money off of crops, he went and bought a horse the next day and made money using the horse. And he ended up making 10 times as much money. All of his neighbors came by and said, you got a horse. Good thing your crops failed. And he said, maybe. And the next day the horse ran away. And they said, oh my God, your source of well-being ran away. That's bad. And he said, maybe. The next day the horse returned with 10 other wild horses, so now he's making 100 times as much money. They said, all these horses returned. That's a good thing. And he said, maybe. And the next day his son was riding one of the horses and fell and broke his leg. And they all came around and said, your son broke his leg. That's a terrible thing. And he said, maybe. And the next day the conscription officer came around grabbing young men for the war. They saw his son had a broken leg and they passed him over. And they said that's a bad thing. And he said maybe. But it's the whole thing is just maybe. You just keep, what is what? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe, right? It's I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent, but yeah, you're right. It's what do you identify? Yeah,
that asking of the maybe in every single scenario allows you to not judge it into the negative connotation that it's trying to fit into.
Yeah,
maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe it'll be tough, maybe it'll be hard, but maybe it doesn't have to be. Maybe it can be different.
Yeah,
and if you don't open yourself up to that. Maybe that possibility, then you don't have creation, you don't have new, you don't have expansion, you don't have growth. You look at leaders like CEOs. A lot of CEOs are the most crazy, shoot for the stars type. I mean, Elon Musk is a perfect example.
Literally shooting for the stars.
It's like, oh yeah, let's go live on Mars. But like, we need those people, to break past, break people's, understanding of what can be done. And then he needs the people that are on the, the ground, the doer, and actually implement. And then, it steps down from there. But, just looking at it and realizing what our potential is, it can be whatever we create it to be. It literally can, and it, maybe you won't get to Mars, but you can, create the feeling and the purpose in whatever you do.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. Whether it's if you're a bagger at the grocery store or a CEO of a company or, an author trying to tell your story or, whatever, a mechanic in a, shop fixing everyone's car so they're perfect to drive and safe. Everyone has a purpose and it makes it all work. And so, and it's that variety of it all fitting together that makes it all beautiful and amazing.
Yeah. The sooner you try to label it. Yeah, no, I love what you said about Elon. There's another quote. It's like the dreamers and the realists need each other. The dreamers make sure that like the system is always changing and advancing, and the realists keep the dreamers from floating away.
Yep.
It's this like, this duality, and it's like, it's not one or the other, right? But it's, I like that. And what I really like is the, labeling. This is bad. This is good. This is bad. I mean, Seth MacFarlane, the creator of Family Guy, got drunk as hell and slept in and missed his flight to go home. And that plane crashed into the North Tower on 9/11.
Yeah.
The creator of Family Guy.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure there was a couple moments where he was like, I missed my flight. God damn it.
Yeah.
Right. And and then
really frustrated. And,
And at that time, Family Guy was only a year old. Now it's worth like $500 million. Right. It's like, maybe you just have to, and it's always, and then furthermore, it's so much easier said than done. We can sit here in like our nice chairs under nice lights and we're having this conversation. It's very idyllic and romantic and idealized, and we're sitting on our ivory towers like, this is the way we should think. But, throw in one bad day of not enough sleep and you stubbed your toe and you get in an argument with your significant other, and now all of a sudden, if someone stops early at a red light, you're not going, maybe, it's bad they stopped because now I can't merge onto the highway. You're not telling yourself maybe. You're going, screw this person, I'm going to ram another car, right? Fuck them.
Right.
So it's easier said than done, but that's why, I guess this was supposed to be the topic of I completely forgot. Meditation. That's why I meditate I think you would appreciate this. The way I describe meditation, I've been meditating almost every day since 2008, is like, meditation is like, you do it every day even if everything seems right. Because it's like when there's like a light misting. It's not raining. When it's just a light misting outside, you put your windshield wipers on the lowest setting. There's not a lot going on, but you just keep them on the lowest setting. And if at any point you're like, I don't need it, and I just turn them off, it only takes like 5 minutes before all of a sudden it's foggy and it's like there's water all over your windshield and you're like, I can't see anything. And then you hit the windshield and it wipes it all off and you're clear. The way I look at it is like daily meditation is just keeping your windshield wipers on the lowest setting. It just kind of sweeps it all off before it develops and grows into something big and bad and dangerous. So today I didn't feel like I need to meditate. Like I sat down and that's the lie I'd always tell myself. It's like, I don't need to meditate today. And then a week would go by and I'd be in a terrible spot and I'd be like, I just need to sit down and take a breath. But I meditated this morning. Didn't feel like I needed to. I was talking to Preston today. I got to go for a drive, got to pick up some shit. And just meditate, just 10 minutes, and I don't think I wiped away anything with my windshield wiper, but the reality is I never know until it's been several days of not meditating, and I'm getting angry about things that normally I wouldn't get angry about, stuff that you're supposed to just let kind of roll off your shoulders, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a lot of subconscious thought around the word meditation. It's like you say meditate, and it's like there's a certain amount of people that go, oh yeah, okay, light up your patchouli and put your yoga pants on and go hippie out, and go and hold hands with a Buddhist monk,
right,
and but that doesn't have to be meditation. I mean, it can be too, which is fine, but there's 100 million different ways to do what's called meditation. And so like I like to create my intentions on my transitions between life. I think that's kind of like a little bit of a meditation basically that you can do in between the things that you do. And I think that's been probably one of the most rewarding ways to do it for myself. So I'll do that. I'll pull up to a meeting when there's normal meetings and I drive somewhere, and I drive there, and before I walk in, I'm sitting there in my car in the parking lot, and I'll just go, okay, who do I want to show up as? What do I want to accomplish in this meeting? What do I want to feel like when I'm with these people? And how do I want these people to perceive me? And I just kind of go through that in a quiet space and think about those things and just create your intentions for where you're going in next. And then same thing, I get back home and my kids are at home, and I pull up and I go, okay, now I'm going to create my intentions, and I'm going to be a good father, and I'm going to be fun, I'm going to be exciting, I'm going to be someone that you want to play with, and I'm going to be happy and relaxed. And so if you can create your intentions a lot, like really be proactive about it between the things that you do, that's a really great micro meditation.
That's amazing. I'm gonna start incorporating that today. Transition your intentions during transitions. I really like that. Just what a minute, 30
seconds? Just like a minute to 2 minutes.
Just this is
like don't interrupt it. You want to give yourself like a solid minute basically, and go through it, and it's really easy. But when you do it, man, it's awesome.
Really,
because
it's
all of a sudden you walk into the place and you're like, I am that person.
I am that. Yeah, and then they're like, "Sir, please put your pants on." You're like, "Fuck, a kid just came off Tommy's podcast, right? The no pants zone." But that's I like that. Now, have you ever done it? So it's who do I want to be when I'm it's after this? What am I gonna? Okay, I'll do that for 2 minutes, and then it's like we're gonna go downstairs. I'm gonna get a bite to eat. My mom's down there. Like, who am I gonna be when Because after a podcast, I'm always like my brain's a little fried. I kind of feel a little like
right. Yeah.
Okay, so but do you ever do that? And then I got to go somewhere later today. I got to go meet with some people. I'm going to pull up and I'm going to 2 minutes in the driveway, and then this is what I'm doing. Now, do you ever do that when it's just you, though? Are you ever like, let's say you get home, but like, let's say the wife and kids are out of town or whatever, and you have the place to yourself. Do you still sit there and go, this is who I'm going to be for myself? Have you ever done that?
I honestly probably don't do that enough.
That would be cool.
That's a really, really great use of time. I mean, if you're heading into a study time, especially, or something like that, I've done it probably more in like a project base, but, where I go, okay, I want to, kind of get this thing done and, be focused and sit down but yeah, also too, I think the more you can implement things like that, the better.
Yeah.
Because you're creating you're living an intentional life.
Mm-hmm.
In the end.
Yeah, I'm a super huge believer in like focusing your intent, like, and this is as like someone who was pre-med, who got into medical school. Like I was as like, materialistic, cold materialism as possible. No spiritual. Everything to me was just protons, electrons, nuclear forces, gravity, and a lot of me still is that person. But even then, I was still very much like, I believe that like focusing your intent really does, and I'll lose a lot of people here, really does have an effect in the world. And to me, that doesn't need to be like, you don't need to take, it's kind of like when, like I love UFOs, right? And a lot of people kind of get turned off by it because they're like extraterrestrials. UFO doesn't mean extraterrestrial, it just means it's unidentified. It could very well, most probably is military. But to you, it is unidentified, right? So that's how I kind of look at it, is like, when I say I think intent does affect the physical world, if not somewhat, it does entirely. I have yet to figure that out. That doesn't necessarily mean you got to jump into like, ooh, all right, yeah, your mind creates the world, man. No, it could very well be that it's just, that's like a science we haven't discovered. And an analogy I always use is like 500 years ago, not even, like 200 years ago, germ theory wasn't a thing. So when the doctor there'd be 10 kids in the doctor's office, he'd put his finger in your mouth, open up, say, all right. Next person, put it in your mouth. And then they all get sick, and we're like, how the hell did that happen, right? And it's just like, and then, the doctors are recommending cigarettes. And then we find out there's germs, right? And imagine, Black Plague, bubonic plague, it's, oh man, all, God is smiting us. And it's like, no, there's just a virus passing. And now what do we have? When it starts happening, we're not like, God is smiting us. We're like, there's a pandemic, we need to close everything down, wear a mask. But then we're good, right? And we kind of bring it down into reality. I think that, like, it doesn't necessarily mean like, go hold hands with a Buddhist monk, like, oh, we're just going to change the world with our minds, man. Like, I think there could very well just be a science to it that we haven't figured out. I mean, from, before we discovered radio waves, or, we didn't know, we can't see them. And now all of a sudden we're building these boxes and we can just talk 100 miles away. It did not exist in our spectrum of what we thought was possible. So who's to say that, just as a blind person has no idea what sight is, who's to say that there isn't a sixth sense, a seventh, an eighth, a 311th? Who's to say that there aren't these things that in time will be as scientific as this pen's going to drop at 9.81 meters per second squared? There it goes. Who's to say that it's not going to be that much of just a figured out science? In 300 years, they might be like, it's like, you got to take your vitamin, make sure to get plenty of sunshine and positive intentions. Like, it could just be that, like, take your multivitamin, make sure you eat whole grains, and make sure to focus your intent positively, because that creates the corporeal around you. Like, it might be a science that we just haven't figured out through some, I don't know, some theta wave, gamma wave coming off your brain affects the particles. I have no idea. But it could just be a science where they figure out with certainty, just like if something is dry and you drop a match, it will light on fire. The doctor might be like, and, make sure that you focus on positive intentions and positive relationships at least 6 days a week, and then within a year you'll see results. That could very well be it.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's true. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I know one thing medically has changed, like the understanding of things is stomach ulcers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to say there's all these different things that cause them. Now they just realize that it's bacteria. They give people antibiotic, and it's cleared up in 14 days.
Yeah, it's what is it? It's
H. pylori.
H. pylori. Yeah, I remember that from biochemistry. I was like, what the hell? But even things like depression and shit. Like, I don't know if you follow, but it's not neuroimmunology. It's like gastroneurology, but it's the linking of your gut health to your mental health. And they're finding a huge part of your mental health is like healthy gut flora. And so like what may have been just like, oh, I'm just depressed, and it's like, oh no, you just need to take some like acidophilus.
Which brings so much weight to the word hangry.
Exactly. But it really does, right? It really does. And but that's true. But that's one of the things, though. It's like where it's like no one ever proved it, but we all knew it was a thing, which is why it's a successful successful ad campaign, Hangry. Because it's one of those things where it's like just because, but it's kind of like positivity. Like we haven't figured it out, but if you ask anyone that like positively visualizes what they want in life, they all agree. Like yeah, I know what you're talking about. And that just means we have, so Hangry, there's a great example. Didn't figure it, but now it's like, oh yeah, no, this is actually affecting like the dopamine and the oxytocin and the norepinephrine in your brain. And now it's like, oh, that thing that we all kind of laughed, but we didn't know what, we just called it Hangry, grab a Snickers, right? This podcast sponsored by Snickers it's just like, that's now a science though, right? And that's one of those things where it's, it's just, and now we thought it was nothing, and that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy, right?
Yep.
Yeah, or seasonal affective disorder. Now we know it's. I mean, I have a light that was actually worked as like I got it like 2 years after like but I don't know if I lost a brother to suicide in 2014.
Yeah, and like vitamin D.
Yeah. But this is the same exact wavelengths of light as rising sun. And you're only supposed to use it for like 15 minutes, but I will turn it on. I haven't used it in a while, actually. But within like a couple minutes, you can feel it. You can feel it.
Yeah, most people are deficient in vitamin D.
I'm sure.
A lot of that's because they don't get a lot of sunshine and things like that, especially now.
Yeah.
And, technology and all the things that keep us inside. But it's really important. And I mean, I've had 2 friends that have taken their lives, and you look at those situations and you go, man, what could we have done?
Exactly.
You always go backwards, and you can never go backwards.
Yeah.
But you go, okay, looking at it that way, you go, what can you go, forward? And that's where, that's why I love, like, that's what motivates me a lot. Like a lot of that stuff, like my book, that's everything in How to Be Up and Down Times. It's all things that help you live like a whole comprehensive life, because you have to take care of yourself first. That's what's important, is that's the foundation of everything, is to take care of yourself with good nutrition, with good exercise, with stimulating your brain and learning, and doing all those things that nurture ourselves so we can feel better. Because if we can't feel better ourselves, and we can't do anything, we can't accomplish anything, and we can't go on to magnify the world, or if we do, we're kind of faking it.
Yeah.
And it's draining us more.
Yeah.
And so that's my goal. I got to get going pretty soon.
Yeah. We'll wrap this up.
Yeah. So I'll end with that. That's my goal, to pay this book. We made it super cheap. It's under $5. All versions are under $5. But I did that because I want to pay it forward. I want it to be the most gifted book out there, because it's got great, information that, will help people. And it might be one chapter in this whole book that might just help you, to give you that one little tool you need to make your life better.
Yeah,
so that's what it's all about for me. That's the difference, is that one thing that makes a difference in your life.
Yeah, that's all you need. And I'll let you go because I'm going to keep talking otherwise. So Preston Weekes.
No, good always to talk to you. Yes. And you're a brother from across the country.
Woo! Same to you, man. Much love, dude. That's what I tell everybody. I tell everybody I love you. So I love you, Preston. I
love you too. It's good to be on your show, and it's good to get to know you, and good to chat.
Hell yeah! I'll send you a text. I'm definitely gonna have you on again before November's out. You're definitely gonna be a recurring guest, because I like you. I like bouncing ideas off you. This is good. I like this.
Thanks. Well, come at me with a bunch of problems, because I love problem solving. Well, that's what I drive.
My existence is problem, so I'll just come on here and start. And today was a perfect episode. That's how I like to do it. I just turn it on, and we went from renewable energy to hydrogen to blockchain, and then we end on this beautiful note. But as I just said I wouldn't do, I am now talking and not letting you go. Preston Weekes, co-author of How to Be Up and Down Times, in the description and in the top comment. Preston will be on here. He doesn't know it yet, but before the end of November, he'll be on again. Much love, everybody. Stay safe. God bless America. Preston, I'll see you, buddy.